All right. Well, while Tyler is making sure he has storage for this episode, my apologies for the audio on last episode. If you didn't notice, great. If you did, great. I just had an issue with my mic, but we did what we could. And yeah, also, this is hopefully not going to be too long of an episode because, as I was telling Tyler, this might be TMI. So if you don't like that type of stuff, you can just skip. But ever since I got in the studio, I think the Lord's been just casting demons out of me because I've been gassy and it reeks. So we're gonna have to wrap up, not soon, but not an hour and a half from now either. You know.
What's happening? Tyler live on the Catchin Up HQ. Yo, what you just said reminded me of that song that used to go, "Gassed up, shorty."
Yeah, is that what it reminded you of?
Oh, you said
you need to get that. Okay, and I'm the weird one. That's crazy.
Hey, welcome back to episode 4 of the podcast. We're glad to have you here.
And since we've already given you an intro, or at least I have, might as well show you the actual intro. So here you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start. Introducing Catchin Up
I customized mine because I'm bougie.
It's not a 9, but it's not an 8.5 either.
Why are you this picky?
You have to be the one to open the door. You have to be the one to open your heart.
It's not about you. It's about touching other people's lives.
Catching Up Podcast. If you're not caught up, you're catching up.
I don't necessarily know what that means. In case you forgot or you're new here, my name's Tyler.
Mi nombre es Gabriel.
And I also need to make sure my sweats are flat because Gabe doesn't like when they crinkle up.
Yeah, I don't. I also don't like it when my own shorts or pants crinkle up.
But bro can wear shorts and air it all out, and it's cool.
Hey, not much to see here. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just work with my angles, okay? Okay?
Hey, with your angles. You just reminded me of all the hits
Hey,
today.
it just be like that. It's the music within, I was listening to a little bit of classical music today, so it's probably put me in a better mood.
Oh, are you talking about when Playboy Cardi sampled Beethoven?
Yep, that's exactly. No, not at all. Actually, funny enough, it's because I'm watching Dexter, the show, for the first time, and one of the FBI agents yeah, I always look at these dead bodies and play classical music, Chopin, whatever his name is. And I was like, oh, that's a cool name. So then I started listening. I was like, wow, this guy's pretty good.
So that's what you do when you look at dead bodies?
Yep. So they speak to me. The answers come to me in a place of peace.
All right, let's go ahead and move on from whatever this mess is. Welcome back. We have an exciting taste test coming up for you today. We've been doing some pretty good taste tests recently. We had the key lime from Chick-fil-A. We had the iced
cherry chai latte
tea, something. It was good.
And then we had our local coffees.
Locals. Today's probably my most anticipated one because I saw this. I think it's got to be like a month ago now on an Instagram page. It's what I thought I was getting last time I went to Chick-fil-A. But we're going to be doing the pineapple dragon fruit lemonade from Chick-fil-A. I should have poured the ice in the other cup. Yeah, because look at his cup.
Yeah, so since I have more brains
it looks really
sometimes, this is just ice. But this is it. This is the dragon fruit pineapple lemonade from Chick-fil-A, brand new. Before we try this, though, I'm not going to lie. The Chick-fil-A employee did say that he's like, bro, just saying, my recommendation, I would do what do they call when you add tea to it? They call it the
Sunjoy.
The Sunjoy. He goes, next time, bro, I'd get the Sunjoy. In my opinion, it's a little bit better. It's a little sweeter. So I was like, okay, I guess we might have to do a part 2 of this. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel like the tea could definitely balance out the acidity from the lemon.
Well, you have no idea. You haven't tried it yet. No, I'm just kidding. But here's me pouring it.
I've tried the regular lemonade. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm thinking this one might be.
Dude, that's crazy. Look at how much is still in this cup because they filled this cup with ice.
I got that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I got that cup too, and I have so much left over. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna just start doing this every time.
That's crazy. I'm about to start getting larges and have a gallon.
They really are finessing us with the ice.
That's
out
why
here.
they always say
Starbucks,
ice
at
is a
Chick-fil-A.
scam. All right.
See,
Cheers.
but I love ice. Like, I need ice, but I guess I just gotta
It's
get it on the
because
side. You know?
you're a sheep. You follow the trends that they want you to follow. You don't think
you know what?
for
Let's just try
this. Cheers.
Another ASMR ice shake.
Whoa. Dude.
Wow. Don't mind if I go back in for 10 more sips.
We're going to need to end the episode early just because I'm going to need
Wow.
a pee after I drink all this.
Okay.
Wow. Dude.
Okay.
Like,
It's giving me very, in the best way possible, it's giving me very, like, Tropicana. Like, you know, when you're a kid, you would get those Tropicana juices and they would just hit. Like, that's what it's giving me right now.
yes.
In, like, the best way. You know, like, Tropicana, they're a great brand, but I'm not trying to say it's, I mean, I don't know. It tastes like if you can imagine pineapple fruit punch with a little bit of lemonade. I don't really get a lot of lemonade.
I think I get more, like, yeah, you're right. It's more of just, like, the acidic part of the lemonade.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not sure if someone gave me this, I'd be like, this is dragon fruit pineapple.
I get, you know.
It kind of tastes
Yeah,
like
I would-
tropical pink. Like, you know.
Tropical is a great word for it because,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, number one, like, I don't really, I've never had a dragon fruit. I think I've had it in, like, you know, some form of candy or maybe another juice. But, like, I don't know what to be looking out for that. And pineapple, I get the hints of the pineapple at the end. But, yeah, it's sweet. It's tart. It's really good. It's very tasty. I think I rated, what did I rate the key lime? An 8.5 or an 8? It was either an 8 or an 8.5.
Yeah, I think you did an 8 or 8.5.
This is going to be a 9.5 for me. I just wish I could taste the lemonade a little bit more. That probably would give it a 10 because, again, right now, it genuinely tastes like a fruit punch. It's very good. You know, obviously, I'm giving it a 9.5. It's very good. But if I could taste a little bit more of that lemonade in there, it would be a 10. So that's my only docking of the half point. But it's very good.
Okay, so mine, here's the only thing, which is kind of making it hard for me to rate it. I love this because I have the biggest sweet tooth in the world. You can ask my dentist. That being said, just like how you said Tropicana is a great comparison, Tropicana is syrupy, though. It does taste
Sure.
super artificial. So because of that, I don't think this is as refreshing as a normal lemonade is. But it's a really good juice. Like, I'll be
Yeah,
slurping
it's
this thing
very
up
good.
all day. But I don't think it's like wow, yeah, that did sound terrible. But it's just one of those things where I'd probably just give it like 8.75. Like, I want to give it a 9, but because I can't differentiate, like, it tastes tropical. I would never be like, oh, this is a pineapple lemonade. You know what I mean? Or anything like that. So I'd probably give it an 8.75.
Okay, that's fair. I would be curious to see it with the lemonade tea
Sunjoy?
mix.
Yeah, I'm
and
curious.
just see what that adds to it. I feel like it might like cut the juice flavor by a little bit, which I think might be what that, you know, employee was talking to you about, is like it kind of just like mellows it out a bit, because right now it is a very strong juice flavor.
Yeah, it's a hit. Like, I'm sure you saw our reactions. Like,
Yeah.
when it's like an explosion of flavor.
But it's like it's so flavorful. Like it is very good. It's very tasty. I highly recommend you trying it. And I just saw that while I was there that they have like a bunch of new barbecue sandwiches too. Like, I think it's barbecue sauce, not like, you know, barbacoa and pulled pork and stuff. But I mean, they're doing all the stuff except bringing spicy nuggets and spicy tenders. I mean, I think they tried that in some states, but I'm like, why is that not a mass thing at Chick-fil-A yet. Like, your spicy chicken sandwich is so popular. Like, every other branch has spicy tender, spicy nuggets. Why do you not? It doesn't make sense to me.
One, don't speak in absolutes because I doubt McDonald's does. And two,
They do. They do have spicy tender.
I need
nuggets.
staff. Can
And so
you
does Wendy's.
look that up?
I don't know about BK, but nobody goes to BK anymore. So
At least not for nuggets. But hot take, and we might get canceled for this, so I'm sorry. But I just don't really like hot chicken like that. Like in sandwich, like in fried form. Like I never honestly, I get pissed if they mix up my regular chicken sandwich for a spicy chicken sandwich because that's just not what I want. Like I don't like it. Like it's just like
crazy, bro.
like I like spice because I like the flavor, not just because I like the heat, and like I just don't like the flavor of it. Like there's spice. It's just hot. It's just hot for no reason. It's like habanero. I don't not like habanero.
Are you talking about at Chick-fil-A?
Yeah. In general.
That spicy sandwich is not even hot.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just not good. Like, it's just not worth any. Like, every time I've had it, I've been disappointed and I don't like it.
That's crazy.
Sorry. Not sorry.
That's crazy. I guess we finally found something we've disagreed on.
Yeah, I guess.
Will this end the podcast relationship?
Probably.
Okay, well, that's our review of the Chick-fil-A Pineapple Dragon Fruit Lemonade. If you have happened to try it, or you try it at some point and you think about us, let us know your rating. We're curious. Nobody ever tries the stuff we try, so I'm just curious to know if we're crazy, because we usually give things pretty high ratings.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like we're really generous with our ratings all the time.
So, yeah, and we're not, like, I don't know, at least me, like, I'm not some sort of critic by any means, but if I don't like something, like, I would genuinely say I don't like it. But everything we tend to try, it's all stuff that, like, we want to try, So, obviously, I feel like we have a calling to it, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Speaking of calling.
Yeah, speaking of callings, that kind of actually worked itself well in there. We're going to be talking about convictions this week, on the podcast here. Because this was something that I experienced for the first time a few months ago. I don't exactly remember, like, when it was, but I know it was like around a few months ago, a couple months, whatever. And it was really interesting for me because I've never experienced like a quote unquote conviction before, which meaning like God speaks to you and tells you, hey, like you need to work on this. And it's such an interesting thing again, because I feel like as Christians, or once you become a Christian, or, if you're like him, you've been a Christian all your life, like you're progressively and continually working on sin, right? Like sin is never something that will be absent from your life, but it's something that you can continue to flee and make better decisions about and turn from. But for me, it was like having this random, just like so convicting voice. And so I'll just give the story. So I was driving to work one morning, and I was listening to a sermon by Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell of Church 2819. Very popular right now. I love his sermons. I think he speaks great truth to the word. He teaches the Bible. He dives deep into the Bible. So if you haven't checked out one of his sermons, I highly, highly recommend it. But I'm listening to one of his sermons, and I don't exactly remember what the sermon was about. But I don't recall it talking about this conviction that I had. And this was towards the end of the sermon. He like always does a prayer, which I think most sermons end in like a prayer over the church. He's praying. And all of a sudden I just hear this very like convicting voice in my head that I need to stop cursing, that I need to watch my language, watch my tongue. And, I'm always praying to God to, help me and guide me in my mind, in my heart, with my tongue as well, because the tongue is such a powerful thing. It's what, we speak words out of, but words have so much power and words can incite things, and words can influence things. So our tongue is a very, very powerful tool, more powerful than I think we realize, especially in today's social media society. But anyway, so I hear this calling, and it was so, I mean, I immediately was like, oh, okay, like I'll start working on this. But it was such a weird conviction for me because, like, just being honest, I've probably been like one of the biggest sailor mouths in probably of the people that I know. Like, cursing was just never something that was on my radar, especially before becoming a Christian. Obviously, like, when I became a Christian, like, I had known that, like, Christians don't curse. And there's a bunch of mixed debate on whether, like, the Bible is talking about cursing, if it means, like, oh, well, if you curse somebody in context versus, you know, where it's like, I'll just use the word freak, for example. But if I'm like, man, I freaking hate my job, substitute curse word, it's like, that's not me really, like, using that word to hurt somebody, versus me being like, hey, freak you. You know what I mean? Like, that's being used to curse somebody, to hurt somebody. So, like, there's debate whether it's like that's what the Bible means, or there's debate whether it's like cursing back in the day meant, oh, I'm putting a curse on you. So it's like there's debate on whether these words mean is what it actually means. I'm not here to debate that, because I was one of those people before. I was like, no, it means this. No, it means that. No, it means this. And when I heard that conviction, it just all went out the window. I was like, okay, this is what God is specifically asking of me right now. I'm like, it was so weird to me, because I'm like, there are so many other things in my life that I think I was fixating on in the sense of sin that I was trying to, you know, work on and fix. And it's really interesting, because it was like the one thing that I never thought about changing, at least at that point in time, or the one thing that, like, just was not on my radar of things that I wanted to change about myself. He called it to me right there. And again, it was confusing. I didn't know why. There was no reason. It was just that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start working on this. And the first couple of weeks were really hard when, you know, language, when it's ingrained in your mind, like, it's not, you're not going to stop immediately, right? And I think for the first couple of weeks, whenever I would slip up and let a curse word out, like, I would beat myself up about it. And then I just thought to myself after, like, those first couple of weeks, I'm like, number one, God he's never expecting you to be perfect at anything, right? I could have had this conviction 10 years ago and still slip up. Like, he's not expecting you to ever be perfect at anything. You know, the Bible does not call us to be perfect, or we wouldn't need a savior. But number two, like, God's not going to give up on me after slipping up once or slipping up twice. He never has before, and he never will, right? So, like, I think that's a big lesson that I learned in this conviction, is that, yeah, we're all dealing with sin. And of course, it's our job to flee from it. But just because you slip up and stumble and make mistakes, right? Or, like, you feel a conviction and you're like, oh, you strongly want to get to work on that, you're not going to be perfect at it immediately. It's impossible. It's just not going to happen. And stumbling will occur. But, you know, for me, it's like, as long as I'm now making that effort to listen to God, you know, who I'm, you know, always asking to speak to me and guide me and lead me. And then if he gives me the strong conviction and I don't do my best to really flee from that, then, like, why am I asking him to guide me? Why am I asking him to lead me? You know what I mean? So, yeah, and then it's like it became really interesting after that, because now when I hear people use curse words, like, it's very harsh to me. And not in a way where I'm like, oh, can you please not say that? Or, like, you know, anything. It's just like I hear it and I'm like, man, I used to let one out, like, every sentence. Like, I'm not even lying to you guys. Like, I want to be, you know, vulnerable and open and honest about this, because I really was, you know, and it did not bother me. And now it's like, again, it's not like, you know, everybody has their own convictions, you know, but now it's weird, because it's like when I'm hearing it, it's like it just sounds so different, just because it hasn't been a part of my language recently. And, you know, I find it interesting too, because I see a lot of people, you know, maybe they get a conviction and they start working on it and get better about it, and they, you want to start correcting everybody else and things like that, right? But it's like everybody has their own individual callings and convictions upon themselves, right? Like, of course, we're supposed to take a look at the Bible and we're supposed to, not sin and follow these commands and flee from it. But I don't know anybody who can follow all 613 commands. I know I can't. I can barely follow the main 10 commandments, right? So like, we have to have grace in that area, but we also have to realize that like everybody has their own convictions, right? Like for me, it was cursing. Maybe somebody else who's a Christian can curse and they don't feel any conviction about it. Maybe they use it a lot more sparingly than me. Maybe they never use it in harsh tones or harsh ways. I did, right? So like maybe that was something specific where God was like, you need to work on that. Because maybe I'm going to be in a position one day where I would have cursed and I didn't in this situation and it helped uplift me. I don't know what the ultimate reason is. He does, but I trust in that. And so I trust in, again, if it's something where like I see like one of my friend has a problem from it, again, first I have to remove the plug from my own eye. I have to remove the sin out of my life so that way I can help this person, grow in this situation as well and lend them my experience. But, it's just the thing that, like, everybody's going to face different things. Maybe somebody gets convicted to not watch horror movies anymore. And, like, you still watch it. And they're like, oh, why are you watching that? And you're like, well, it doesn't lead me to do anything bad. It doesn't cause me to do anything bad. I don't feel bad watching them. So there's all these different things that you see on social media where people are like, oh, you can't be doing this, can't be doing this. And I just want to say take a step back, and realize that, like, everybody has their own called convictions that God is convicting them of in that moment, in that time for a reason. And so, yeah, it's been a really interesting experience for me. It's been, I think, the only one that I've had so far. And, it's really been interesting because, like, if you would have caught me 3 months ago, dude, like my use of it is like, it's almost completely removed. Again, like I slip up every now and again. I'm not perfect. But like, if you would have went back 3 months and told me that I wouldn't be cursing right now, like, dude, I would have called you crazy, and I probably would have thought you were dumb because I'm like, no, I don't. That doesn't affect me. I can do that. And then you get a slap in the face conviction, and now 2 months later you're not cursing. You know what I mean? So like, it's just been a unique experience for me, and I just think it's really interesting how he placed that upon me first. But again, I trust his ways, I trust his will, and I start to see some of the reason of why behind it, right? Like I'm learning every day, every time I don't use it, every time I hear somebody else say it, every time like different situations, like I kind of learn, I'm like, oh, this is why. Oh, this makes sense. I understand now. And it's, it's always going to be a learning and a growing process, but, yeah, so that was my experience with my conviction. And now I want to pass the floor to Gabe if he has any, lifestyle changes or anything that has affected him. He's been a Christian his whole life. I haven't. So I think, like, again, we just have these different perspectives. So I think it's always interesting to hear my side of somebody who's fairly new in the faith and then hear somebody who's been lifelong in the faith.
Well, it's funny because you just have such a way with words and so many of them that I have like 40 billion thoughts while you're speaking. Because I had one thing ready for the episode, and then I had a conversation with one of my buddies before this, and then he kind of reminded me of something. I was like, oh, maybe I'll talk about that, and then as you're talking, I was like, oh, maybe I should talk about that, or maybe I should talk about this. But I think
That's what happens, bro. That's when the thoughts start flowing. Is when like the other person is talking, you're like
and you don't want to interrupt them because you're on a flow, right? But
yeah, that's hard.
I've also been one of those that it's like if I can't remember, or like the last thing I land on is probably the most important one, anyways, because that's the one it took the longest to get to. So I guess my conviction that I've been like. It's been coming to like I've been coming to a realization with it, is that because there was a bunch of things I was gonna say way before this, and now I have no idea what I'm about to say. But basically my conviction is because sometimes I can take, oh, I grew up in church. I've been a Christian my whole life. I know this, I know that. I've done this, I've done that. Too far to my head that sometimes I feel like I know better than God does. And not that like I ever say that. Like I've never like actually said that or believed that. But in the sense of, for example, like cursing, right? Like I have my opinions on cursing, on what the Bible meant on that. But then it's like, but because I know that, I don't listen to when people say otherwise. And then I feel like I've been realizing that where there are things that I have certain opinions or I think things and then if the chance of me potentially being wrong, like that scares me more than actually like just fixing the issue. You know what I mean? And I don't want to talk about certain things just because they are a little more personal, but it's just that. It's just like conviction of not being able to be taught that you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like let's just talk about cursing then. Like I think the Bible meant more so like cursing towards someone. Like if I'm just like,
Sure.
oh man, this effing banana. You know, like I don't think that's bad. I think words are used to be expressed. You use them to express different feelings. Me saying, man, Tyler, you really made me mad. Versus you made me effing mad. Way different weights. Not saying that one's right. Not saying that cursing's right. But it's because I've had that opinion for so long that I won't even like go and try to dig to see if I'm wrong. Because then I feel guilty, which is also back to what you were saying. So I guess we're backtracking now. Whereas like God isn't going to not accept you or love you because of you messing up. Right? And that's kind of like me, where it's like, oh man, I almost like don't even want to know if I'm wrong because that just means like I completely disobeyed intentionally, knowingly, not really, but knowingly,
Right.
on purpose. And it's like, why would God forgive that? Why would he even want me after that? And funny enough, before this, my friend and I were talking, and that's one thing that he's been struggling with is like every time he slips up, he like beats himself up for it and all that stuff because he should know better, and that's how I am. And then he brought up, I don't know who said it to him, but someone said it to him where it was like, if God loved you before you even knew him and you were completely indulged with sin, why is he not going to love you when you're trying to get out of it and fix it? And I was like, wow. So I guess those are just like my two convictions. Not at all what I was planning on saying, but that's just kind of like what resonated with me. And one thing that I've been struggling with and like feeling convicted about is seeking the truth as opposed to just thinking what I know is the truth. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and like, you know, it's just, it ties into the whole thing that I was saying about like specific convictions. Because like, again, the Bible could full on and well be talking about just cursing somebody or like the way you use it, right?
It could be spells, right? For all we know, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I very much understood what he was asking of me when I had that conviction. And so I was like, I'm not going to try to work my way around this one. And again, it's not for me to cast judgment or to correct people if they're using curse words in a certain way or not. You know, obviously if they're being super harsh, I may be like, yo, you need to chill. You know?
Yeah.
But if somebody is using them just on a regular basis, as many people do, as I did for so long, it's not my place to be like, yo, you shouldn't be like, that's for like people got to do their own research. They got to figure it out for themselves. And again, like maybe that was just a calling for me being like, man, you really, for some reason, you need to clean it up. Like now you need to like start working on it because something's going to come in the future. So like, I don't know what it was, why it was. Again, I found it a very odd calling as well for me. But again, I have noticed it. And again, like I think it's been teaching me, you know, so much of like, hey, like you you've come so far. Like, you can't beat yourself up about this. Like when you slip up, when you mess up, like, yeah, I'm going to, obviously. It's so easy to. I stub my toe and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen in life. But we all, with every single sin, you're going to stumble, right? And it's like, you have to take a step back and be like, look how far you've come. Like, look at the transformation. Like, the transformation of my language from the past 2 months is the proof of the power of God alone. You know
Pretty
what I
soon
mean?
he's gonna be like, so thou art here today.
Yeah, no, it's just like you can just see the work in that, bro. Because again, like, that was something for me that I just it never crossed my mind. Like, I truly never did. And so, you know, I think it's also great from your perspective of that as well. Of like, you've been stuck in something for so long, and it's hard for you to seek the truth in that sense, because I think that's also the problem with like a lot of people. They can get caught in their ways, whether that's their denomination, whether that's their sin habits, because they don't think the Bible means this when it means this. You know, and that's why it's like you have to keep digging, you have to keep searching, you have to keep praying. Like, if you're ever confused about something, if you ever hear something, you're like, oh man, like, a lot of people are saying this is a sin, but I don't feel like it is, or I don't feel like it is in the way I'm doing it. Like, some people think video games are a sin. I don't. But like, obviously, some people can play video games and that's it. And some people can play video games and it consumes their life. And they start to, you know, maybe those actions in the video games take habits in their life. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, if you're playing video games for 10 hours a day and you're not spending time you're not spending even 30 minutes in your Bible, are you idolizing the video games, or are you idolizing, you know, God and your word? So always pray to God about it. Talk to him. You have a direct communication. Pray about it. Talk to him. He will let you know. He will not misguide you. He will continue to guide you in the right direction. It might not be immediate. You know, I'm a year and a half into my walk with Christ, and he just convicted me of my language a few months ago. So, like, it might not be immediate. There's times and seasons for everything, but you just have to trust that he will, because he will. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Just to piggyback off that, and then we can wrap it up. Just to show how different the polar opposites of the same situation can be, because that's another thing too. I feel like with the way society is and societal norms, is we're always comparing. Because
Exactly.
I've had my conviction of that too. Mike, I've had convictions of not having convictions. Why is God
absolutely.
convicting Tyler of cursing and not me? Why is God convicting this person to only listen Christian music and not me? Like, am I doing something wrong? And is this and is that? And then you put yourself in this position to where it's just like, just focus on God. Just focus on God, and it'll happen. Something will happen. But just the polar opposite situation is that I know many people that are like, oh man, like, I can't listen to anything but worship music. Like, forget rap, like, just worship music, or versus any other genre, because they're like, it's just not good for me. It messes with my mental, blah, 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 blah. Right. And like, whenever I'm listening to that stuff, it's just not good. So like, the only thing I can listen to is Christian music. And then I've literally met, like, I'm thinking of one pastor right now that's literally like, worship music does nothing for me. I actually don't like worship music, and I only listen to non-Christian music. But he's literally like a head pastor of like a church, but he's like, worship music just doesn't do it for me. And that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Him and God can have a chat about that later, I guess. But it's just like, it's just because different things affect different people different ways. And just because you're not feeling convicted about it, you shouldn't put yourself in a position. Not saying you shouldn't look at yourself and evaluate the situation that you're in and where your stance is, but you shouldn't compare convictions of other people to your own.
Yeah. I actually just saw, real quick, like a Christian influencer. She posted a TikTok, and it was basically, she's like deconstructing her Christianity, but not like deconstructing away from the faith, just kind of deconstructing from all the judgmentalness that can come from it. Of like, again, you know, you have some of those people out there who are like, oh, you can't hang out with these people, and you can't say this, and you can't listen to this, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do this. And it's like, you can, there are still things of this earth that you can listen to and watch and do. And again, everybody's going to have their own convictions and their own callings and their own ways that they feel with things. We're all different human beings. So like, again, just taking the music thing, for example, if somebody was again in your car and you're listening to a song that's not worship music and they're like, oh, well, why are you listening to this? It's like, well, maybe like this music doesn't affect me in any sort of way. It doesn't make me curse. Like, it doesn't make me want to go and do the things they're saying. I just enjoy the actual music, the art of it, and I'm fine. Maybe 2 years from now, that will change, right? But it's like people are so quick to judge and comment on other people's sin when they have a whole lineup of sin in their back alley. Again, relating back to the point of what Jesus was saying when he's like, take the plank out of your eye first. Yes, you can righteously call people out and help them. You like, but most people nowadays, when they're righteously calling people out, they're judging them and they're trying to, be like, oh, well, I don't do this, so, you shouldn't do this, and it's just like, that is not the way to go about it, at least in my perspective right now. So yeah, if you've had any convictions, let us know. I know they can be personal, so you obviously don't have to let us know. But I think, it's always good to listen to the callings of God and continue to pray and ask for that guidance. And again, I've even been in the same space as Gabe. I was like, man, why am I not hearing anything? Like, why am I not feeling a conviction? And so, I'm not saying this to say I had some outer worldly experience or anything. I'm just trying to relate of, something of why I stopped doing something and how it has affected my lifestyle since then.
Also, if you wanna, we'd also have no problem like sharing stories. So if there's something you guys want to share that you want us to share on the podcast, we can keep everything anonymous. And if you want to tell us about your conviction, not tell the whole world in the comment section, you can also just DM us because we'll see it.
Also, you should go and try this lemonade. It's very good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm almost done. And speaking of delicious lemonades, I guess that'll bring us to our last question.
Sure.
Unless you got anything else to talk about, because I know we can ramble. But this question was inspired by my lovely, beautiful wife. We were in the car today, and she goes, I have a question. And I was like, uh-oh. And then she goes, if you had to pick one candy bar, and that was the only candy bar you could ever have for the rest of your life, and including like flavored things. So like, let's say you wanted, let's say, for example, Snickers is your favorite. It has to always be like Snickers ice cream or Snickers milkshake. You can't do like Reese's. Like whatever candy bar you choose, you pick. That's what you're stuck with.
That sucks because, like, I don't always get the same. Like, I don't think my favorite candy bar is what I would get as a mix-in all the time for my ice. Like, for example, I love Oreo ice cream.
Yeah, same.
But Oreo's not a candy bar.
Don't be that guy. I told you the rules. Just give me your answer.
Do you have yours?
Yeah.
All right, then you go first.
All right, so the struggle for me was Twix or Reese's, obviously, because I'm not.
Oh, now he's allowed to have a struggle.
No. But here. But you can. Yeah, but I was like, but you can pick specific ones. So for me, because I can pick a specific one, the candy bar I would choose is specifically the Halloween Jack-o'-lantern Reese's, specifically. Because to me, the peanut butter and chocolate ratio, perfect. I think Reese's Cups, too much chocolate. My wife, red flag. I wish I would ask this question before I proposed, but she's like, she would pick the Reese's Minis because they're crunchy. Excuse me, you eat Reese's for the peanut butter, not the chocolate, but, who am I to judge? But yeah, so those were our answers.
Yeah.
What would you pick, Di?
It's a hard question. So it has to be a candy though, right?
A candy bar, yeah. Like not gummies. We can do gummies too, but
No, well, I'm just So I thought originally the question was just like candy bars, but now the mixing thing is where it gets interesting. Because I'm like, I probably eat ice cream with mix-ins more than I eat candy bars by themselves. You know what I mean?
Same.
So,
well,
I think I'm gonna have. I mean, like, but would Oreos be an answer? Because that's not a candy bar.
No, it's not a candy bar.
Okay, so maybe the question is, out of all the candy bars, that's the only mix-in you could get, but you could still get the mix-ins that aren't candy bars.
Who cares? What's your answer? If you can't pick Oreo, it's got to be something else anyways. You're like the one guy that we know that's like, well, what about this? But then if this happens, what about this? And I'm like, I don't even know what the question is anymore.
There's a question with
petunias,
10 different strings attached. Okay, I'm gonna go with Reese's then too, bro. Honestly,
but like just
not
like
the specific pumpkin ones that you were saying.
They're just pumpkin shaped. They're not pumpkin flavored.
I'm down with the regular because I think the regular, for me, I like chocolate. So like I like the ratio of the original Reese's. So I'm gonna go with that one because I think I would prefer that over any other candy bar by itself for sure. And also in ice cream, yeah, I would pick that. I don't know why you see my mind went straight to ice cream because I'm like, ice cream is probably my favorite dessert. So like, I'm like, that's where it goes. But yeah, cause I'm like, you could do Snickers, but like, I don't really eat Snickers like that. Twix, Almond Joys I love, but I don't think I would eat them in ice cream.
True.
Or at least a lot. So, I think Reese's is probably the best bet because I think it's my favorite candy bar anyway. So yeah, I'll go with that.
All right, sounds good. We're at 41 minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I go blow up my bathroom?
No, I mean I know you wanted to kind of coast off here a little bit early, so it's fine.
All right, well, let us know.
It's fine, bro. I don't want to talk anymore.
Tell us if you've tried the new Chick-fil-A lemonade. What do you think? Are we right or are we wrong? Or are we right or are we right? What are your convictions or thoughts on convictions? And don't come at us for our convictions. And then 2, what candy bar would you pick?
Yeah.
3, not 2.
And if
3.
If you haven't told your friends, your family, your loved ones about our podcast, please do. It helps. We appreciate any and all people that tune in each week. And, we just want to continue to grow, continue to bring a podcast that you want to keep listening to. So we appreciate you coming back, especially if you made it this far. If you make it to the end of the episodes, man, you're a real one. So if you made it this far, literally go and comment real one so we know that you're still here. Otherwise, we're not going to know that you made it to the end, and we're going to assume you only made it through the first 5 minutes. So that's not cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And also make sure if you're listening, make sure to, follow us, rate us. If you can, comment. And then same with YouTube. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, share it. And then follow us on our socials, too, because we try to be pretty consistent with those, too.
All right. Well, we will see you in the next episode for episode 5. Well, we're getting pretty deep into the season already, man.
I know. We're about to be halfway done.
Goes fast. Well, supposedly. We'll see.
Maybe
I'll convince Gabe to put a little extra funds in and do 15 episodes.
Oh, yeah. I got to put more extra funds in? Okay.
He's got to produce it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, peace.
Peace.
Catching Up Podcast. If you're not caught up, you're catching up.
I don't necessarily know what that means.